All right, that is connecting. And we have somebody else to admit. There we go. All right, now I've got us live on YouTube. I've paused that so the sound from it doesn't distract me or whatever. Do I hear Monkey Bird in the background there, Jackie boy?
Hello.
Hello, Jackie. Is that you? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
can hear. Okay.
Is that Monkey Bird I hear in the background?
Oh yeah, always.
Always. Too funny. All
Hey
right.
guys,
Hi, Suzanne. How are you?
I'm
How's
good.
it? Hey.
Can't hear you though very well.
We'll be getting started here in just a moment. I was going to say, I usually wait till 7:02, but we're rolling up on 7:02 right about now. So, somebody else wants to come in. There we go.
Suzanne mentioned that she couldn't hear you very well.
Oh, it can't hear me very
I
well?
can now. I can now. I
Oh,
just
okay.
put my yeah.
Uh,
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But,
I'm traveling, so I don't. I might not know how to do it right.
all right. Well, I'm glad you were able to join us.
Yeah.
I appreciate when you can join in. Um, I'm a little late getting things started here, so I need to kind of go and find an old document that, oh man, is no longer in that folder. Let me go and dig down deep and find this. Dum dee dum dee dum dee dum dee dum documents.
And we'll have a moment of silence for Kamala's statement the other night.
I heard she said something about cannabis, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, it was legalized cannabis.
Actually, did she say decriminalize? I believe were her words.
I thought it was legalized.
Oh, maybe it was. I
Of course, maybe that's wishful thinking. I don't know.
Well, hey, back up, guys. Something happened. What's been legalized or?
what was the question, Suzanne?
I was just wondering what were y'all talking about because I got cut off there for a second.
Oh.
What's been?
I didn't watch the debates the other night between the for
Oh,
the vice
oh,
presidential, but I understand Kamala Harris said something about either legalize or decriminalize during the debates.
I think
Um,
she did. I
I
think she
thought
might
she,
have.
I think the follow up I heard afterwards from National was that she said the words decriminalize, and although they'd rather have her use the word legalize or something
Yeah,
about what she said was
yeah. I do think she said that too. Yeah, I agree.
But
something.
I'd like to add that she went on to say that she wanted to get everyone out of jail and get their records expunged.
Right.
Yes.
She did
Yeah.
say that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So,
Yeah, so
so
that I mean, during a presidential debate from or vice presidential debate, that to me is a big thing that was even mentioned. Um, yeah, that marijuana got brought up.
About
Um,
time.
so, oh
well,
yeah, way
what
about time.
think globally and act locally.
Right. Right.
Right. Well, as I usually do, I'm going to quick start the meeting with a little disclaimer that all of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness and not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or condone illegal behavior of any kind. Welcome to everybody that's here with me this evening. Welcome to anybody who's watching later on our YouTube channel. Um, yeah, I'm kind of glad you brought that up because although I have a theme that I want to discuss tonight. I do want to just sort of briefly touch on what you said. We are getting close to the elections. Um, Here in my pile of stuff, let me see if I can pull it out and show y'all. Got my mail in ballot because I will be working the polls that day at a precinct outside of the precinct I'm allowed to vote at. So I can either have to do early voting or mail in, and I just opted to do mail in. I find it easy. I don't have to leave the house. I can track it. I can see when they actually receive it. To me, that's kind of a good thing. Um, so, although registration for this election in South Carolina has passed, we do have the elections coming up quick. Uh, Probably most of you know just by your mailboxes. I can't say I haven't had a day go by this week. I haven't had some sort of political something. Um, Matter of fact, I started taking some of it down from my little wall back here because it was just, I'm tired of looking at it already, and we're not even at the election. uh, but yeah, we do have the elections coming up, so I do want to sort of touch on that. As I mentioned in a meeting this morning with Kristen, who's on our board, uh, we are trying to push the the smoke the vote voter guide that is available at vote.normal.org. Um, I will probably do one more blast or two more blasts this week on trying to get folks to send that uh, letter campaign. It's a letter campaign basically to get candidates to fill out the normal survey, the candidate survey, so that we can add their information to our voter guide on whether they're pro, con, um, that kind of thing. We want to know that from as many of our candidates as we can. And I can't say we've had great results with it, but we have had definitely some positive results. So we'll be kind of wrapping that up in the next week or so with the request for people to share that. That'll give the national another hopefully week to get that data all into their Smoke the Vote database, and that I think only refreshes every Sunday night, from what I've been told. But anyway, we want to get that kind of complete and out there, so as voters start to look at that, they can find out what their local politicians think if we've gathered that information. Following that, I did mention, I think last week, we are working on the consumer survey, I guess is the best way to put it. The South Carolina resident survey on their opinion on marijuana. We worked it out at this point to about a 6-question questionnaire, two more than there were on the Winthrop University survey 4 years ago. Um, we have had some discussions and some questions on our how we're going to distribute it so that we get a nice, hopefully broad answer base. As again, Chris and I were talking about this morning, we don't want to just ask it in an echo chamber of our own supporters.
Right.
We want to be able to ask this across the board, across all demographics as much as possible. I think that's really going to depend a lot on um, people sharing it, other organizations sharing it. I will go ahead and start reaching out, and I'm just sort of letting some other organizations know that we're going to be doing this. And one thing, well, let's get to tonight's topic a little bit. One thing I'd almost like to do is tie that whole process into um, when we do some of these. I'm not sure on SurveyMonkey. Tie it sort of into another, or at least at the same time, ask them. Let me bring this up. This is the Emerging Clinical Applications for Cannabis and Cannabinoids book. I believe this one is updated to about 2017 is the latest version. I am going to do a real quick share screen with you. Oh, almost pushed the end meeting button. Don't want to do that. Uh, the big green one in the center. Um, this book is available online, and all right, you should be able to see my screen here. If you go to NORML.org, our national site, then you click on Learn in this particular menu here. When it switches to the next screen, click on the medical marijuana. It will go one more page. and give me two more options. One about medical marijuana laws, and again, this one, recent medical marijuana research. Click on that one. And as soon as the image loads, you'll see here is where you can access the entire book online for no charge. It is not a PDF to kind of download to your machine. There used to be one online somewhere. I'm not sure um, if it's still out there somewhere, but when they did the website redesign, I can't find it anymore. But you can go through each of the particular chapters of the book, researching specific ailments that may be of interest to you. Um, and then also, if somebody wishes to purchase it, National has it on their site. Let me move that over a little bit for $10 a copy.
Oh,
What I would like to be, and I'm assuming that's plus shipping. What I would like to do is work on a program at our local chapter here to see if there's a way to. I'm going to stop my share here again for a second, just because I like my other screen better. Um, to be able to send a copy of this to each of the new legislators as they get into office in January. The new legislation session is going to be starting on January 12th, um, which is uh, I guess historically they start the new legislature the second Tuesday of January, and this year it's going to be January 12th. So what I'd like to try and do is get a copy of the books into the new legislators' hands, and actually all the legislators as quickly as possible, maybe by the end of January, within the first 2 weeks of them being in office. Um, we do not necessarily at Normal have the funds specifically to do this, so we're hoping to kind of make a program where we can get our excuse me, where we can get our supporters to help. We'll create a program out there where, and we'll promote it. Um, let's send a gift of marijuana knowledge to your legislators. Help us do that. And if you send today, my hope is if we can work this out financially, if they send $10, we'll cover the shipping and hopefully at that price, we can also include the book Marijuana is Safer, So Why Are They Driving People to Drink? I think for $10, or maybe if we say $5 more, we can send them a second book. I don't know which is the best way, and I'm going to ask for all your input on it. But to try and, I'd really like to see if I can get both of these books into their hands. We have access to them from Normal with volume discounts to a certain point. I have on hand of the first one about 65, I'm going to guess. There are 170 legislative seats, not including like the governor and stuff like that, um, between the House and the Senate. We have 124 House districts and 46 Senate districts. So of those 170, we've got a third of them covered, maybe a little more than a third. Um, and those have already been paid for out of donations we've received in the past. We actually bought those as inventory for our website because we do sell them on our own website, normalsc.org, um, for the same $10 plus shipping. Um, but anyway, I'm thinking that might be a good way to get some knowledge into our legislators' hands, whether they actually look at it or one of their aides or their, uh, office staff looks at it. I know it has to be kind of logged and documented. And I do know that, let's see if I have his name. Jose Casey, senior field representative of Joe Cunningham, when I gave them emerging clinical applications one day at a park that they were visiting, sort of a community what do you call those little outdoor town hall kind of thing last year. It was just down the street from me a few miles, so I grabbed a book and I grabbed some pamphlets and I don't know what else I gave him. I don't think I gave him any leaf pins. I think I probably gave him one of our pamphlets and the book. Um, and at another meeting at our local library here a couple months later, I happened to see the same Mr. Casey, um, and was talking to him again after that meeting a little bit about marijuana. He goes, "Oh yes, I was reading some of that. That was very interesting." So whether the um, congressman actually looked at it, I don't know, but his senior field rep at least looked at it,
Hmm.
found it interesting. The kind of thing that maybe it lays around the office and they go, "Well, what's this?" Oh, and pick it up and may get some new knowledge. We already know that Joe supports at least to a certain extent, um, and his support in that particular race, I think, is a little bit more open than his opponents. Um, but that's not what we're here talking about tonight. Um, anyway, that's where I'm at with this project right now, and I'd like to sort of see that roll in after a couple of the other things that we're working on. Like I say, right now we are finishing up the Smoke the Vote voter guide. Right after the election, I want to get that survey going. So I guess I probably won't tie it directly to, or I mean, we could still do the survey, I think, and ask people, hey, would you like your new legislators to have some more information? Would you like to contribute to helping us put this in in their hands? Um, and give them a space to tell us which one of their legislators they want us to send that book to, or the
Hmm.
books. Um, I think if we're already trying to do a mass distribution with the survey, somehow or another, we can maybe tie this onto it and get it within the same distribution. Um, Thoughts, questions, input, anything like that?
So, so Scott, I have a question. Um, I mean, like when you say do a massive mail out, are you taking away those people that we already know? Well, I guess I'm thinking, or for the Compassionate Care Alliance or for legalized marijuana. Are we taking those people out, or are we sending them to everybody?
As far as the questionnaire or survey or the book distribution, well, the whole thing tied together, I would want to include everybody because, I mean, be quite honest with you, um,
Right. Yeah.
distributing to Compassionate Care Alliance, um, a lot of their followers and supporters are also our followers and supporters. I know there's some that are not. I know that some of the medical community supporters avoid normal because they believe all we want to do is get recreational
Right. Right.
legalized. Um, and I think that's uh,
Right.
understandable to a point only because of the stereotypes that uh, our legislators have about normal. They kind of feel the same way. Um, I think that's kind of doing a disservice toward
Yeah.
the advocacy community because, of course, as y'all on the meeting know, we're all more about civil rights, civil liberties, the
Right. Right.
whole the whole ball of wax. It's not
Right.
just, oh, we want it so we can hide in my mom's basement and smoke weed. It's not. Yeah, it's just not about that. And especially when you're talking today about things about and I say today, talking about police reform is really nothing new. Going back into the frickin' 70s, I mean, 50 years ago, there's songs and there's television shows that were about that kind of topic. I was quite a bit younger then, mind you, but the discussion was still there. And the problem I see with that kind of thing is you watch out almost every election cycle, and you will get some sheriff or some DA candidate that says we're going to be tougher on crime. Don't you want to feel safe? And they play the fear card a lot like
Right.
candidates are doing right now. Look at what's happening with these riots in our cities, and they're trying to take the mostly peaceful protests and make it sound like they're riots. Like they're all riots and that our cities are more dangerous. But yet, if you look at statistics, um, we are not living in more dangerous times. Crime is down overall. Especially violent crime is down overall. in the past 50 years, let's say, and less, but that's politics. That's just sort of the way the game gets played. Is we're going to play on your fears. We're going to say, oh, you don't want us putting more money into the police. What are you, a criminal? It's like, well, no.
Yeah.
And I must say, the wording for defund the police is sort of a, I want to say, unfortunate uh, wording for it, because it's harder to say reallocate the funding for community services. Uh, and that's really all the defunding is pull some of it back from the enforcers and spread it out a little bit more to the healthcare workers, the mental health workers, the community service workers that are help those sort of situations in our community. I've seen too many people getting killed because someone called to help their autistic child, and the police show up, and their response is to kill them because they weren't complying. Um, Geez, we probably all remember the one from a few years ago where I think it was, someone was assisting an autistic person in the street, and you know, I think they were laying down, they were like completely non-combative, and they killed him. Um, it's there's something dreadfully wrong with our enforcement system if the first tool they go to is taking the life of the person they've been called to help, or someone else on scene. Another one recently, someone who was trying to be the good guy and break up a fight and calm things down was the person that got killed as police arrived. um, uh, uh,
Yeah.
I want to be pro law and order, if you want to put it that way. We all want to live in a safe, peaceful community,
Yeah.
um, but I don't think that we need our law enforcement agency to also then be the judge, the jury, and the executioner. That's taking away those other people's jobs. Um, and if they say, well, I feared for my life every time they turn around and sneeze, they really need to get out of that profession and get in a profession that they can feel safe and secure and warm and fuzzy all the time. Um, no, it's not an easy, safe job, but it's not being done correctly in my mind. And I will have a lot of people say, "Oh, you don't like the way they do it? Go get hired and do it yourself, and show them how it's done." And at that same kind of point, I could probably turn and show you the people, the men in blue, who have stood up and said, "Hey, we really do need to fix the system." And next thing you know, they've been fired from their job for posting a video about something like that. And so it's not the law enforcement officers themselves, it's the criminal justice system. And as I like to point out, it's the Department of Justice. It's a whole portion of our government built on this,
Right.
on subduing and imprisoning. In the free country of the United States, 25% of the world's population is imprisoned here. Um, arr.
Ah,
Sorry for my rant. That wasn't what this was supposed to be about.
yeah,
I
God.
want to talk about the book. And I know that Michael, at some point early on in the week, was sort of excited about the topic they were going to talk about and said he wanted to do a little research. Have you looked into the book at all, Michael, and seen anything about what it's about? Is there anything that's intrigued you about it? Or um, I don't hear you. I think you're still on mute. And folks that are listening, Michael is with American Cannabis Nurses Association. Let me see. Nope. There
Got
we
you now?
go. Now you got it. There we go.
Too many mute buttons. I haven't had a chance to actually look at the book yet. I'm anxious to. I am concerned that we're wanting to send that out to our newly elected politicians. It's 3 years old, and there's been a lot of progress that's been made in the last 3 years. Just looking at Epidiolex, as a main uh, example. But I realize it's difficult to go back and redo those more than every couple of years. But
Mhm.
I did find an interesting article. I mean, just because we were discussing cannabis and medicine, and so with COVID, one of the major issues that's occurring is you get myocarditis, you get inflamed heart, and people with acute myocarditis and heart attacks, they're actually testing a new drug. It's called Cardiol RX, which is cannabidiol, just purified in the lab, and that is going through phase 2, phase 3 studies as we speak, FDA approved for those studies to determine whether or not that decreases the inflammation of the heart, especially in those patients with COVID-19. That could be a huge step in progress. I mean, how do they tell us that cannabis has no medicinal benefit when it's a new miracle drug possibly, or at least that condition?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, well, there was also the recent study you may have seen from MUSC. I posted something about it a couple weeks ago.
And one from USC.
And there was another one from USC. I
Yeah.
don't think I saw that one.
Yeah, I don't know if Bill put it out or what, or Bob or somebody.
Telling
Yeah,
us what we've known for 50 years.
Yeah. But Michael, I'm sorry. I kind of agree with you too on the book, thinking that so much has changed since 2017 that it would almost be to our advantage to either try to put something together ourselves or incorporate different things from different people, because I think 2017 there's been a lot of change.
yeah, when you look at the publication date of 2017, so the data is probably based on 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, there's a lot of it, and it's even older than that. I'm looking right
Yeah.
here, just references real quick on
Yeah.
Glaucoma Center, 1998, 2005, 2012. But it covers a lot of information. I don't think that just because it doesn't have the past 2.5 years worth of basically these are reviews of scientific data, and as nice as it would be to have the past 2.5 years or so, or 3 years of data in there as well, I think it's at least a good starting point. I mean, I sort of felt the same way, especially about the Marijuana is Safer book, because if I recall, this one's even older. Let me go back. This was copyrighted originally 2009 and 2013. I don't want to say that it negates the data and information, though, that they contain, as much as I do agree that if there was something else to fill in that gap between that point and today, I just don't know what that would be. So that's kind of where I came up with this. That and the fact that I have some of them on hand. And didn't know, and like I say, I think it will help. But I agree with you on that. It'd be nice if it was even more updated. I picked these up, I want to say, oh, I remember. I picked these up at the end of 2019 as part of our 2020 membership drive. And I was, get your membership. We're going to include one of these books at no additional charge. Didn't quite get the membership participation or the interest in the book that I was hoping for. So it's, again, one way for us to sort of liquidate some assets here, and hopefully do some good with them. But that's my thought on it.
How about just doing in a small addendum, 3 or 4 page booklet, then covering 2018 to present? I mean, because there has been a lot of important research. At least we've been doing more human trials and.
I don't have the ability to do that, to be quite honest with you. I don't know how I would even start to kind of build an addendum to kind of review the past 3 years of medical literature. I'm not that guy.
Have we talked, maybe include Jill Swing?
Um, would you or Suzanne like to kind of
Yeah.
talk to her about it and
I
see
mean,
if
I'll be
maybe
glad
you'd
to. I
want
can
to?
ask Jill for sure.
To see if maybe she
She's,
could come up with something that would fill in some gaps with this when we
yeah.
sent it to them and it said, here's a little bit more information that you might also want to know. Because that what
Yeah.
we may be able to do is include it into like the letter. Hey, we're sending you this
Right.
book, and here's some other information the books don't cover.
And
I
I'd
mean,
be glad,
I would think that we would have like the research available from even the last second annual cannabis or marijuana thing that we had last year. I would think there'd be those studies would be available.
agreed.
But I'll ask her.
Hey,
Yeah,
Suzanne,
yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'd be glad to get involved with that with you. So just,
Okay.
I definitely want to get involved. It's hard to get involved.
Okay. Yeah, we'd love for you to get involved.
Thank
Well,
you.
then I think that's really an excellent idea. I mean, that's probably why I was mostly apprehensive because I just wouldn't know where to start. But if you guys think you can kind of work on this, that would be wonderful.
Okay.
And that way, like I say, help us figure out whether we just do it as an addendum and send it along with the letter or as
Right.
part of the letter or however we kind of figure out is going to work best. I completely agree. There's some newer information that should be included when we send the gift pack out to them.
Cool.
All right. Thank you. Bear with
I
me
would.
one minute.
May I say something about the distribution of the book?
Who is this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I would really like to see it literally put in front of the senator's desk when he sits down for a major meeting concerning cannabis. Then it would be right in front of him, and I like the color, not just black and white pieces of paper, because you're only gonna have a few minutes of that man and woman's attention, and it's gonna have to be put right in front of them. So all they have to do is open the paper. In the printing business, I had to do a few things for the government, and the senators don't take, or the Congress does not take more than 5 minutes on that whole book. He will take 5 minutes at the most.
Oh,
If you're lucky,
you'll
will
be
get 5
lucky if
minutes out of it.
you'll be lucky if he
Okay. Yeah.
you'll be lucky if he doesn't see it, if he even sees it.
So you need
Because
an infographic.
Right.
It's going to be open by an
So I
aide.
like the graphic.
Roll it into a joint.
The only way to kind of try and get that either set right in his face or right in front of even their aides' faces is during lobby days. To
Yeah.
actually go and visit their
Yeah.
office and make an appointment and say, I want to talk to my legislator. I've talked about doing lobby days, but especially my health, I don't think I'd be
Yeah.
able to do a lobby day in January this year.
Is that
My
when
health
lobby day
will-
is?
We can do them anytime we want, but
Yeah,
it's
you're
usually
right.
best to get them as early in session as you can in like
Yeah.
late January, early February before
I
too
could
much
do
gets
some
rolling.
late January,
So could I.
early February. I
Let
mean,
me-
I'm
I
gonna
would,
be up
I
there
would,
anyway.
How about
I mean, I'd love the
how about
idea
a
of
Zoom conference?
a van or a minibus
Zoom
going to,
conference.
going to Columbia, and we're not going to get a legislator to Zoom conference with us. We'd have to actually make an appointment
Oh, okay.
and
Okay.
walk into their office
Okay.
as a group with our game plan and
And
say,
our
here's
mask
your,
on.
and our masks on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and say, here's your books, and here's what we want to talk about. And we get our 5 or 10 minutes, and then they throw us out of the office. You got to dress the part, put on the suit and tie or whatever. You can't really go dressing in tie dye. You got to play the game. That's the way to kind of get it right into their office. I'm just talking about mailing it, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest
it's
with you,
definitely a game.
yeah, I'd love to do a lobby day. I'd love to be able to kind of plan it out, but there's the expense of getting there. Where do you land once you get there? Some help at that. and Columbia NORML, unfortunately, is just not communicative with
Yeah.
us. We've tried a few times to kind of work with them, and it just has not panned out under their old leadership and under their new
Yeah.
leadership. They're just
Well, I can let you guys know when like South Carolina Compassionate Care Alliance is going up, but I mean, what would probably be going up for would be a hearing so that we could testify or listen to testimony.
right. You'd be most of the
But
time. Compassionate Care Alliance would be going up, like you said, to either do at the announcement of the bill to sort of stand
right,
around and show support,
right,
or
right.
they're gonna go to the hearing to be there to support and give testimony, hopefully.
Yeah.
But I don't see Compassionate Care Alliance doing.
A lobby
Well, I
day?
mean, be quite honest with you, I do see them doing a lobby day, but I don't
I
see
do
them
too.
doing. I don't see them doing a lobby day in conjunction with normal,
Well, okay.
because I don't. I mean, I spoke to Jill once. Now I'm going back almost 4 years on this, but her comment to me basically was that um, they don't like to be associated with normal because the legislators view that all we want is recreational, and even after medical had passed, she doesn't think she would stand with us at normal and work toward recreational or that
Well,
kind of
I'm on
thing.
the board and I would. So,
She may or she may not have evolved in some
mm,
of her opinions on that, because
yeah,
I do see her posting some things that do talk about,
yeah,
arrest for recreational use or
yeah.
things like that. And I would especially think at the age of her children, she should be concerned about simple possession arrest, because eventually,
Right, right, right.
most of our kids are going to end up with a little bag of weed in their pocket, and what so I would love to see her as a mother get behind on that particular side of it too.
Yeah.
But
But
again,
what we could see, we could talk about it. I mean, I can do some dual functions and things like that if need be or whatever if I'm able, you know.
well, we're definitely more into, definitely into collaborating with the other organization any way we can. Whether, like I say, we get the survey
Yeah.
going, and we can you can help us distribute it, or you guys have something that you're going on, and like I say, if your organization is going up to help support, we'll announce it to our membership,
Right, right.
and see who wants to come.
Yeah.
Again, that one's a tricky one, because it's one or two of of Jill's meetings that I've been at. They talk about not wanting the hippie look there, and to be quite honest with you, a lot of our supporters are going to wear tie dye and a pot leaf. That's
Yeah.
what, if you call it a rally, they're going to wear a pot leaf tie dye.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so yeah, that's where I'm a little apprehensive on a lobby day, because I think I'm going to have to just express to everybody who wants to join us that we really want you to dress professionally, at least your
Yeah.
Sunday best kind of
Well,
thing.
I'm gonna try to look normal.
Yeah. Uh, well, because again, if you go walk in like I normally do, with a legalize T-shirt and a Pot Meadow,
Right.
tree on the back with the crescent moon here for South Carolina, or one of those kind of things, my pot leaf hats, it's just going to turn off the legislator for some reason.
Right. You're right. You're
To be
right.
quite honest with you, I think that's why NORML changed their service mark away from, well, they never really used the pot leaf as a service mark, but they created this new service mark that, do I have one handy? I don't see. Oh, yeah, right here on this little pin. Let me show it to you real quick. See if I can hold it. That. So that little green thing is the new service mark. It's supposed to be reminiscent of a pot leaf, but more acceptable to like the soccer moms and the grandparents that might want to start supporting marijuana, but don't want to wear a pot leaf. That kind of thing. They're still afraid of the stigma of the pot leaf. So even after 50 years of advocacy for marijuana, NORML is toning down their optics on it, I guess you would want to say, by making their service mark something other than a pot leaf.
Funny
So,
thing is that is their age group when you get to the medical marijuana and legal states.
I'm sorry, what was that? The funny thing is, what about them?
I, I, I said the funny thing is that that is your demographics when you're talking about medical marijuana or either legal marijuana. It was the people who are 70 and 80,
Yeah. Oh,
you know?
you're older folks, 65, 60, 65
Oh
and
my
up,
God.
are
It's
definitely,
crazy.
well, they're the ones, I mean, to be quite, I'm 62 years old, and I've seen so many of my friends over the years, get in trouble at work for weed and say, I'm never smoking again. It's going to, I don't want to risk my job. I don't, and then they freaking destroy their liver with alcohol, or
Yeah.
they find
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
other legal drug to kind of use for their recreational entertainment or whatever they want to use it for. Uh, they would have maybe preferred cannabis, and I believe cannabis would have been healthier for them. I bring it up mainly because I just lost a friend a couple of weeks ago. I'm
Mm,
not exactly sure his
sure.
cause of death, but I know it was hard living and hard drinking. Um, so I wouldn't doubt it was liver kidney failure kind of thing. Um, but anyway, um, and it was only recently that he sort of refound weed, and he's like, oh, I love this stuff, but he didn't go and get his medical card because of, geez, just the $250 was too hard for him up in Pennsylvania to get his card. Um, and so he still ended up drinking himself to death. But
So many people to keep their jobs just become absolute drunks because they cannot. If they get caught, that's it,
right,
and it's horrible. It
and
ruins lives.
unfortunately, and I posted something about this on my personal, on one of my groups that I run here on James Island. With the elections coming up, on the back of my election ballot is a whole bunch of different, was it one, two, three, four school board positions. Well, not more than four positions, but it was four different, I guess, boards because they cover different areas. Um, and those are nonpartisan. But I still have a couple questions, and my two questions in that particular race would be, one, um, which candidates are kind of against having school resource officers in all of our schools. I'm not real happy about school resource officers in all of our schools because I think basically they are just uh, a cog in the school to prison pipeline, and a lot of that is for simple marijuana possession. They turn our children into criminals. We don't need people in our schools doing that when they're supposed to be there protecting our children. And secondly, was I see from time to time in different areas that they want to start doing mandatory drug testing on students at school.
Ah,
And I am strongly against that, mainly because I believe if they do a mandatory drug testing, all that does is that drives students that are going to be doing some drugs in one way or another to be doing harder, more dangerous drugs that clear their system a whole lot faster so that they don't have to worry about being tested and 30 days later they pop hot for weed when they can do some MDMA or, and again, I don't know what all the new drugs are that they do today. They can take some benzos, they can take some freaking opioids. And, 24 or 48 hours later, their system is cleared and they can test, and the school or whoever is no wiser. And unfortunately, that's what I see mandatory drug testing doing in our schools. It's not helping our children. It's not protecting anybody. It's pushing some of the students to to act more dangerously and to behave more dangerously. Uh, Not good. So anyway, I don't know how to find that information for the elections. I did post it on one of my groups, going, "Hey, how do you find this out?" I should probably post it to a couple of the, like the Democratic or Republican Party pages or something like that, because they may have some info. All I know is Al Cannon here in Charleston County has somebody running against them. Um, please vote for that somebody. If you're here in Charleston County, vote for that other person and not Al Cannon. That's the only thing I'm going to ask in this race at the moment. I try and keep my political opinions they're probably a parent, but I don't try and push them on other people. I want you all to make your own choices out there. But when it comes
Okay,
to
well,
county,
let's get rid of Lindsay. That's what I want. That's all I'll ask. Just let's get
What
rid of
about
Lindsay.
you? What about you? Don't you have to vote for what? I mean, who's your South Carolina state senator? Sandy Sen?
yeah,
I
that's
would,
Sam Scarden is up against Sandy.
Right.
vote
Are
for
you
vote
So
vote for
I would
Scarden.
vote for you to. I would ask also for you to vote for Sam if you're in that district.
okay?
Okay,
I'm there with
I'm
you
in.
on that.
I'm in
I
there
am
with you.
not a fan of Sandy. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the Botox look that she has, or if it's just flaunting her white.
Hey now.
Well,
I
I
would.
think. I mean,
Well,
it looks good many times. I
she's
guess if it's
not
done right,
pro
it doesn't.
marijuana. Yeah.
Yeah. So
She's not
Sam.
pro marijuana or pro,
No, she worked. She worked
you
for
know,
she was the lawyer for the police department for years.
oh,
Yeah, and
Oh
let me
yeah,
tell you,
she's very pro law enforcement. She is.
I was
yeah.
I was
Uh,
at her wedding.
That's why I want her voted out.
I was
Anything
at her.
that she says about marijuana, pro marijuana, is take that with a grain of salt, because up until recently, she always responded to me that she would only support medical marijuana if it was FDA approved.
Yeah,
You and I, Suzanne, both know that that's bullshit,
That's
because the DEA
that's not
prevents
going to happen. Never
the
will.
not gonna
DEA
happen.
prevents the research that needs
Yeah.
to happen before you can even start the process
Right.
of FDA approval.
Yeah.
So, as somebody who's a law enforcement supporter that Sandy Sen is, she
Yeah.
should know that the law enforcement group, the DEA, is the one that controls that research.
Right.
And so that her claim of, oh, if the FDA approved it, is to me not genuine.
Yeah.
Because she should be saying, well, I'll fight to get the FDA to start allowing research.
Or
Um,
yeah. Or
that kind of thing.
she could be on the at least compassionate care side.
Huh. No, she
Yeah.
couldn't. No,
No,
she
she's
couldn't.
not. She's not.
No. Well, the last response I did get from Sandy was that she supported medical, and I take this again with all a grain of salt.
Yeah,
But
she hasn't supported.
if
She
it's
hasn't
just
supported
going to
this
be
yet.
the 18 to 24-year-olds dominating the green card holders, then we might as well just legalize for recreational.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what, and it's
Yeah.
like, hey, I can't help who runs first to get their green card, or who's, there's still a lot of older people that are apprehensive because they've been lied to for so many years that this is going
Right.
to be the gateway to horror and murder and opioid addiction, and that kind of thing, that they're not rushing as much, as though I agree with you, Suzanne. The largest part of the demographic in the medical field is going to be the older or the older generation right
Yeah.
now. Um, but
What blows me away is the way the baby boomers turned on it. I thought they would have been pro, and a lot of them are against cannabis too.
there's a fair number of boomers that are, but again, they've been brainwashed for many years about it, being
Yeah.
told that it's the gateway. I actually had some man, not much older than me, one day at Loggerheads down on Folly say, "Yeah, but what about the gateway?" Got to be kidding me. This
Gateway.
has been disproven so long ago, but it's been ingrained into them all of their lives, and now it's a matter of re-educating them. And
I know.
Yeah.
luckily, my mother is open enough, and I've been talking to her about weed for so many years that at least she's doing the CBD. I don't see her moving to medical, even though it is available in Florida now. I don't see her going through the process, and
Yeah.
I don't know how much. I mean, there may be a time where she gets severely ill, and she'll get some relief from the nausea
Yeah.
or something like that. But and then she may change her mind. But at this point, I don't expect her. But she doesn't scold me anymore.
Oh God. Hey guys, I gotta run. But hey Michael, will you get up with me somehow? Hit me up and we can talk.
Yeah, Jill's got my contact information. Her and I
Okay.
I wouldn't say good friends, but I've been trying to get involved with her too.
Okay.
So
Sounds
she's
great.
got me. Nice talking to you.
All right.
Thanks guys. Bye bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Scott.
May I
And
ask
Michael,
Michael? May I ask Michael a question? He was going to look into Florida as far as how long you have to live there. Did you
31
find?
days.
That's it.
31 days. All
Yeah.
right.
And I have to go back and look to see if that was consecutive, but yeah, and you have to, I believe you have to have a mailing address, or something that proves that you're actually,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I read that part. But I never got the time part. They said they had. I mean, like a water bill or something that proves that you are there. Yes. So, thank you very much for looking into it. I appreciate it.
So what we need to do is I'll go down there and buy some property. And what we'll do is
Okay.
I'll have, mailboxes set up and you pay X number of dollars a month to have that Florida mailing address. And then I'll box it up and send it to you home.
That'd be great. That'd be great. You mean you have land in Florida you're willing to sell?
Oh, no, it'd be renting.
Oh,
Rent.
yeah, I got rent. Oh, I see.
And
I
just
was
come down with the camper periodically or come stay in in a cabin.
sure.
It's good.
Well, I kind of like Cocoa area because you get to watch the rockets take off, and also you might be able to find the gold doubloon down there by Sebastian's Inlet. So there's a lot down there to find.
It's a nice
So
area.
that's where I head. Be an old man with a metal detector.
Well, Michael, I'll ask you also then to keep me posted on how things progress with that because I think that's a good point. The books are a little old, so let me know how you guys progress with that, and then how we can sort of tie this all together as we move forward.
All right.
Um,
Thank you.
Anything else that anybody wants to kind of chat about tonight? I see we're kind of coming up a little short of an hour here, but we have been kind of rambling on a lot of political fun stuff tonight, I must say. But
I love the fly. Everybody loved the fly.
oh, I'm almost sorry I didn't watch the debate just for the fly and for Kamala talking about weed. I don't know why. I mean, I watched the presidential one before, and I'm like, that was well, and I half watched it because I kind of move around the kitchen, and I think my ADHD just takes over. Um, Same thing with the Lindsey Graham, Jamie Harrison debate before. Uh, I only caught a little bit of the last one where apparently Jamie couldn't make the debate, and it was sort of like the Lindsey Graham show, and I had to turn it off. I'm like, I
Oh,
cannot
yeah.
this
I don't
endless
blame
Lindsey
you.
Graham thing. So. All right. Well, watch us all on Facebook. Visit us at normalsc.org. If you need to contact me, it's lowcountrynormal@gmail.com. We are here every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Next Sunday, we will have Kristen leading the discussion for us. I don't know if she's come up with a topic yet or not. We will, if not, if she doesn't have it handy, we will bring it up and post it during the week on what her topic will be. I am in for surgery on Wednesday for I wrote it down here, septoplasty and inferior turbinate surgery. So they're going to be like cleaning out the inside of my nose so I can breathe. And maybe when I'm talking here, I don't sound like I've got my nose plugged up half the time, which I usually feel I do. Does anything know any? But let's see. From Joey in chat, does anyone know anything about the hearing that took place on Friday? I didn't even know a hearing took place on Friday. Is that South Carolina level? The one that was before the Supreme Court for cannabis legalization.
They were getting sued, I believe, weren't they? And somebody, Washington, but a couple of kids and an athlete, I think, has a lawsuit that's being seen.
Wow.
I think so.
I
That
did.
one is.
I must have missed that. Like I said, I've been sluggish the past week or two because of not being necessarily well. But um, no, I did not hear about that. I'll have to look into that after we hang up here.
Yeah, we'll all look into it. That's good
Good
news.
deal. We'll all look into it, see what's going on here. Well, I still like to think about off. I know I was going to end the meeting, and here I go again. I talk every now and again about Timothy Leary, and people, whenever they think about Timothy Leary, they think LSD. Oh yeah, he was the LSD guy back in the '60s. But what they don't realize, there many of them don't realize, is Timothy Leary was arrested for marijuana possession in like 1967 or something like that. And he took it to the Supreme Court, and in 1968, he won his case, which basically ended the 1938 Stamp Act, And that's why Richard Nixon had to scramble and create the Controlled Substances Act that went into effect in 1970, because Timothy Leary, some acid head, professor at Yale, I believe it was Yale. No, California. I forget where he was a professor at now. I hear Michael talking, but he's on mute. I don't hear him talking, but he's on mute.
Probably California.
Yeah, it was California, but I'm trying to think where.
Stanford.
Anyway,
He's Stanford, I think. I think he was at
Stanford.
Stanford. Yeah,
That
yeah.
could be. I'd have to Google it, but anyway, here you've got this guy who's trying to get the world to tune in, turn on, and drop
Drop
out, or whatever.
out.
Drop out. Um, Gets arrested for marijuana, and what's he do? But he turns over the 1937 Marijuana Stamp Act because he doesn't want to get charged with marijuana possession. uh, my hat's been off to Timothy Leary. I mean, I probably shouldn't admit it, but Orange Barrel, Orange Sunshine, I tried it probably about 13 years old, and I became a fan of LSD for the next couple of years after that, probably the next 3 or 4 years. I don't know how many times I tripped. I figure I lost count at around 300 times or something like that. But anyway, I think Timothy Leary just was a
Right
hero
on.
in at least two respects.
Yeah, he was a
LSD and the Supreme Court marijuana.
except he
Uh,
got it turned out that 199 countries signed the agreement that they would all make cannabis illegal in 1971.
yeah.
So and now we have an international agreement.
And thankfully, many of them are dropping it.
Yep.
y-
Portugal. Yep.
They were all pressured into it by Nixon and
Yeah, they were.
by the United States government. If you don't do this, we're not going to do business with you. If you don't do this, we're going to withdraw funds from you. If you don't do, it wasn't like they all went, "Oh yeah, marijuana is bad. Let's jump on board here."
Right.
It was coercion at least. Um, Boy, that just sidetracked our conversation for an extra 5 minutes. But
It
thank you,
did.
Timothy Leary, for at least turning over those laws. And thank you, Joey, for informing me that there is some shit going on in the Supreme Court about marijuana. We're all going to look into that now once we get done here. So thank you again for joining me tonight. Next Sunday, 7 p.m., we will be back here. Same bat time, same bat channel. Thanks for joining me. Have a good night, all.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good
Good night.